Alright, so I made a video about where certain MLB teams are the most hated. I haven't yet gotten to that for the NFL or the NBA. And I'm going to combine them because the NBA map is hilarious. Could not find an NHL map, however. But basically, what are my thoughts on this? And which state in particular am I the most enraged at? So, as far as the most hated NBA team, across the board, it's pretty much the Lakers. In some states, it's the Celtics, including Pennsylvania. In some states, it's the Brooklyn Nets. In 2 states, it's the New York Knicks. But for the most part, it's the Lakers. It's actually a pretty boring map. Thankfully, the Philadelphia 76ers are not the most hated NBA team in any state. But that is not the case for the Philadelphia Eagles or the Chicago Cubs. As a matter of fact, the Cubs and the Eagles are not very well-liked teams across a good area of our country. Pretty much, if you're in the NFC East, you either hate the Cowboys the most, although you hate each other definitely, but you hate the Cowboys the most or you're the Cowboys. But if you're in Cowboys territory, then you hate the Eagles the most, which I'm offended at that. As you know, I'm an Eagles fan, and it makes me hate the Cowboys even more than I already did. It makes me hate the Cowboys almost as much as the Giants themselves. So, if you're a Cowboys fan, I'm offended. This makes New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas have their least favorite NFL team be the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, what about the MLB? We talked about it. Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Arkansas. They hate the Cubs the most. Why is that? Well, Missouri has St. Louis, where you have the Cardinals. And as you know, the Cardinals hate the Cubs. But if one team hates the Cubs almost as much as the Cardinals, it's the Milwaukee Brewers. So that's Wisconsin. Arkansas feeds into St. Louis. So does Western Tennessee, but then you get into Braves territory where the Mets are the most hated team. And once you get past that, in Iowa in particular, that's kind of where Cardinals and Brewers fans meet. And while you have some Cubs fans in Iowa, it's not enough to outweigh the fact that there's literally 2 teams who mega hate the Cubs in Iowa. That's why the Cubs are the most hated team there. So, first of all, I was actually looking at a college in Iowa, and now I've scaled back a little bit, knowing that they hate the Cubs there. In most cases, though, these are states that I don't particularly like, to begin with. And, seeing that kind of makes a difference. I feel like, in particular, the thing that pisses me the most off about this is Arkansas. In Arkansas, as you know, they hate both the Cubs and the Eagles. As far as the least favorite sports team in general, in New Mexico and Texas, it's the Eagles, and in Missouri, it's the Cubs. Oregon also offends me, and I used to love Oregon, but their most hated team is the Washington Huskies, so they hate when you factor in college teams, they hate them the most. I guess it makes sense because the Portland Trailblazers don't have that many strong rivalries. Still, though, it's offending because the University of Washington is, in fact, my dream school. So, that's why that kind of pisses me off a little bit. Now, having said that, now we are going to look at my top 5 favorite sports teams. And at the number 5 slot, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was tough for me to decide which team I liked more. Between the Pirates, the Orioles, and the Seattle Seahawks, it was a very tough decision, but ultimately I slotted the number 5 slot to the Pittsburgh Pirates, mostly out of a matter of sympathy for them. The Pirates have won the World Series in 1979, but they have made only 6 postseasons since then. In 1990, 1991, and 1992, they lost a championship round. In 2013, they lost in the divisionals. In 2014 and 2015, they fell in the wild card. Now, I'm not really too aware of that many Pirates players. A big reason why I'm a Pirates fan is because it runs down my family. A lot of my family actually grew up in the Pittsburgh metropolitan area. So there's already a lot of Pittsburgh fans in my family, and that's what made me grow on to like the Pirates so much, is simply because of the fact that it actually runs through my family. And now, at the number 4 slot is the Buffalo Bills. I don't act like too much of a Bills fan. Normally, if you hear me yelling about a team, it's because they're like enemies of the support team is enemies of either the Eagles or the Seahawks. The thing is for the Bills is that in a lot of cases, I mean, I hate the Jets, but I hated the Jets long before I even knew that the Bills were a team for the false advertising thing. And unlike the Eagles, I never fell in love with their quarterback the same way. I don't even know who it is. I'm mainly a Buffalo Bills fan to show support for the fact that I am a New York fan. Well, in some cases, not all of them, but I like New York teams. I just don't think that the Giants and Jets are even New York teams. They are not New York teams. They play in New Jersey. They are New Jersey teams. Their stadiums are governed by the rules of Phil Murphy, not Kathy Hochul. They don't pay New York taxes. They are not New York teams. The Buffalo Bills are a New York team. And that's what makes me appreciate them. That, and it's still this outshowing of sympathy for Damar Hamlin that I think still gets me and pushes the Bills over another team such as the Seattle Seahawks. Plus, I should probably have my favorite AFC team go above my second favorite NFC team. Just in case, the Eagles and the Seahawks make their way into the NFC Championship together or any playoff round. I don't exactly like the fact of making it so that one of them has to lose. I get that happening in Eagles vs. Bills Super Bowl, but that I can live with. Now, the number 3 slot is going to go towards the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid is truly carrying the team. James Harden, Tracy Maxey, wonderful job. And it really pains me that the Miami Heat beat the Detroit Pistons, even though I knew it was going to happen. Before this game, the Pistons were at 16 wins and 55 losses. So I did not have any hope for the Pistons, but they were leading in the fourth quarter and then they lost. This means that the 76ers cannot clinch a playoff spot just yet. They're ahead of the Celtics, yes, but the Celtics are the one who've clinched a spot at the end of the day. The 76ers have not done so yet. So they could still miss the playoffs. And that is a very, very, very scary reality for me to see the 76ers miss the playoffs. I don't even think that a win over the Bulls can have them clinch the playoffs. They might have to wait until the Miami Heat play, which is not going to be until Wednesday, I don't think. Just for the Heat to probably win another important game. It's sickening as a 76ers fan to see how I'm doing better than the Celtics, and yet the Celtics are the ones who clinched and I haven't. It's just truly getting heartbreaking at this point. But my main reason why I'm putting the 76ers so low on this list is because while they are my favorite NBA team by a lot, I'm going to only be focusing on them so much because they are, again, an NBA team. The NBA season is going on right now. I'm not that interested in basketball to begin with. So there's not that many teams in basketball that I have so many strong feelings toward the same way I do in football and baseball. And that kind of stuff. So the number 2 spot, I'm going to surprise a lot of people and say the Chicago Cubs. I've been a long-time Cubs fan ever since their win in the 2016 World Series. Avidly rooting for the Cubs all the way through the 2017, 2018 postseasons. Very mad about the 2020 situation. I root for the Cubs even when they're losing. But honestly, I'm not too acquainted with the team to begin with. And that's why the Philadelphia Eagles are the number 1 spot. That's right, the Eagles are my favorite sports team. The Philadelphia Eagles, I just love their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. They play amazingly when their defense doesn't totally suck. And I feel like I've turned into, over the last couple months, into a loyal Eagles fan. So when football season starts off, brace yourself, New Yorkers.